I will say, and one thing that I have done, and but to make sure I will keep doing it if I meet myself 20 years earlier, is to learn every day. I think trying something new every day, being a little bit uncomfortable, it builds so much resilience. And so much self-improvement, then really sky is the limit.
Welcome to the DesignRush podcast, where we explore the intersections of business, technology, and creativity. I'm your host, Vianca Meyer, and today we're joined by Isabelle, a visionary in the marketing field and a leader at Brevo. We're set to delve into Isabelle's inspiring journey from her early days in engineering to her groundbreaking work in marketing. Let's discover what drives the innovation behind Brevo's success. Isabelle, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Okay, Isabelle, thank you again so much for joining us today. And before we unpack your revolutionary work that you and Brevo do in the marketing space, I'd love to start by understanding your own journey and what ignited your passion for marketing. So, Isabelle, just for our audience, could you briefly introduce yourself and
Sure.
what it is
Thank
that
you
you
for
do?
having me, Bianca. I really appreciate it. I am currently the global CMO and CEO in North America for Brevo. I joined the company maybe 6 months ago. It's a customer relationship management company. And I've been in this field before. I worked at a company like Salesforce, for instance. In spite of my French accent, I live in the US, in the Bay Area. Actually, to be more accurate, since 2001, most of my career has been in marketing, and I was also trained as an engineer. So, and I moved from France, obviously, in 2001 to the US.
Okay, amazing. So you mentioned that you were trained as an engineer. Now, of course, back then, when you were first starting out, there must not have been a lot of women in engineering to look up to at the time. So what was it that made you choose engineering as your career path? I mean, was there a specific person or experience in your life that led you to that decision?
So there were so many people, and I feel so lucky and blessed to have had them in my life. I just happened to be really gifted for math and physics, actually more physics. Math was a little bit too theoretical, and I really like applied science. I was also pretty good at biology and chemistry. And for the longest time, I thought I would become a veterinarian. And when I applied, my professor, I had a wonderful professor, told me, since you're good in physics as well, you should try engineering school, apply to it too. And then I got both. And I'm like, what am I going to do now? I was so sure I will be a veterinarian. And I talked to my professor and a lot of my friends. And I happened to be in a technical high school. So a lot of my friends were male students. And we're going into engineering, and I guess I wanted to stay with them, and that's how I made the decision. And it's been great because, for instance, anything in medicine, you cannot transfer it from France to the US. You have to take an exam, anything in law as well. And engineering, you absolutely can, because we all speak the same language when we code and so forth. So actually, that's what allowed me to completely change my life and come to the United States in 2001. And I had a wonderful, wonderful experience. I know there is not a lot of women. I was, I think, 18% of the class. But I always felt respected. I always felt equal. All my classmates were wonderful. And actually changed when you get into the workplace, but I feel I was a little bit protected and pampered because I was very lucky to be born in France, to have a free education there, and to really be treated equal by all my classmates.
Amazing. That's super heartwarming to know that, at least you were accepted and protected there as well. But, the one thing I did want to say to you is that, I was doing a little bit of research on you before this podcast, and I have to say you are one of the most impressive women I think I have seen so far. So we're very excited to have you here. I just need to reiterate that.
You're very kind.
Okay, so
Very
a
kind. I'm
follow-up
sure you're very
question
impressive.
on that.
No, you're very kind. I'm sure there are a lot of impressive women. You are very impressive too. So, but thank you. But I'm
Well, yes, we're really, really happy to have you here. But yes, again, I know that there are many impressive women, but you're certainly one of them. And like I said, we're very, very excited to have you here. Really, Isabelle, really. Okay, so a follow-up question to what I just asked you, about like engineering and all of that. Were there driving factors that pushed you to grow in that career field initially before you went into
Oh
marketing?
yeah. I mean, first, I love it. I love being in high tech. I love working on technology, and even for marketing, I don't see myself marketing anything else than high tech. When I left my engineering school, my professor told me, if you don't become an engineer and really do this now and code and be a researcher, you'll never do it again, because it's a one-way door. It's really hard, to start doing, I don't know, marketing or some business function and come back to coding. And that was a great advice. And so that's why, right after school, I went to be an AI engineer. At the time, it was not called artificial intelligence, and we didn't have all the technology like cloud computing and all the database that exists today. But that's what I left and I went for, and I really enjoy doing this. I started publishing, but it was a little bit lonely for me. And I wanted to know how my customer were using, my product, what could be improved. And I moved to product management, and then putting a value on the product to pricing, until I could explain, in, I would say, easy terms, the business value of very technically complex product. And that was kind of my link between engineering and marketing. And that's when I switched to product marketing, and the rest is history. But it's really, I mean, the technology, I'm always interested in new marketing tech application. I'm always looking at new content, new knowledge, improving my knowledge about any new technology. And that's something I'm passionate about. So.
Of course, yeah, I can definitely tell that that's something that you're very passionate about. But I did want to ask you, what did the AI landscape look like when you were first starting out then?
Oh my God, it was so hard. I was in speech recognition and speaker verification. So at the
Mm-hmm.
time, Siri did not exist. And I was pretty much working on the Siri in 1997. And so to create that, we had to record many people in a quiet room reading the dictionary, reading books, just to collect actually audio sample that I can model after. We had to do this with noise in a car, because I was working for speech recognition on cell phones, and people wanted to call from their car, and they wanted to call from home. And so the very first phone at the time that were public, actually the first one in the world, that's you could call mom or call home, or call work. I was working on that. And at the time, you had to build your own database. You had to be in the office. I could not. I will dream, I will resolve a bug in my sleep, but there was no dial-up. I could not connect to the computer. I had to drive over the weekend or in the middle of the night, because I realized there was a bug, go fix it, and come back home. Because the batches and all the tests were taking 24 hours, so I didn't want it to wait to arrive at the office and then look at the computer for 24 hours. So it was a different pace. It's so much better now. I understand why I left. It was so frustrating then to progress so slowly, but I'm so excited to see the progress over the last couple of decades. And at the time, we wanted to do speaker verification, so you could access your bank account just calling, and they say, "Oh, this is Bianca. Of course, here is your account." And the problem is we never could reach more than 97%. And that's not good enough. There are still 3% of people who can access your bank account or your building, without being you. And if you had a cold, then we had to marry it with a video because your voice is changing. I don't know. It was really hard. I feel now the computing power, the database, and the model are so much better. And the realm of possibility is so much bigger.
100%, of course. Yeah, I can imagine that, coming from that part of where AI started to where it's going now, and just looking at how much it's progressed in like the last year, I'm sure it must be super exciting for you to be have been part of this landscape. So, in saying that, what would you say are like the two or three things that you find have become the easiest to handle in the world of AI now, especially when developing AI?
Well, so first, of course, as a marketer, I think AI has been around for a long time, to be honest, in the marketing tech stack. And I teach marketing tech stack at Santa Clara University. So I refresh my class every year. This year, a lot of refresh with artificial intelligence, but there is more than 11,000 applications out there that marketers can use. A lot of them already use AI, like chatbot, like analytics on e-commerce platform, all these type of things. I believe the most recent innovation has been generative AI. And the difference is before AI was helping us look at patterns across a lot of data, but generative AI actually helps you create an output that's similar to the inputs you feed your model. So it's not just analyzing and it's not passive, it's really active, which for marketer, there are a lot of use cases that actually that can help. So that's very exciting. Just to give you a few numbers, it's also going so fast. ChatGPT got 100 million users in 2 months. I think it took Instagram 2.5 years to get there. So the speed of adoption of technology is just
It's
like
crazy.
mind blowing. And marketers, as a marketer, I will tell you, and that's why I like technology, because especially in marketing in SaaS, you use a lot of data, you use a lot of tools, and I have to stay fresh. I have, from a technology perspective, but I will tell you, marketers have to reinvent themselves every 4 to 5 years. 10 years ago, social media arrived, and we all had to learn about Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and know how to engage with our customer that way. Then account-based marketing arrived, and we all had to adapt. And now I think really generative AI is yet another turning point into a marketer career, and to many things, by the way, not just marketing, but medicine. There are so many wonderful applications. And for marketers, I think the ability so far, the bottleneck was to generate content that was personalized enough, fast enough to engage with plenty of segment. And now it's making things possible. So it's really, really exciting.
Exactly. I just want to establish this connection quickly. So, okay, you went from an engineer and then went into AI, and now you're into marketing. So, can you explain to me a little bit, or to our audience rather, how did that path go? Like, what was it that took you from AI and being like, I want to go into marketing?
Well, so I was building those products like, call home and hey, I'm Isabelle, give me access to the building. And it was not necessarily working. Call home and so forth, yes, but it was nothing like Siri, where you could say full verbal language sentences and be recognized, right? And so I just felt a couple of things. So the technology was not as developed. So the progress was a bit slow compared to today's, right? Second, I was really missing the customer engagement and the feedback about the product. And then it was lonely. Like, it is lonely to be an engineer. You work with different teams, but at the end of the day, the good news is you really master, you own your schedule. You can code from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. if you want. That's not a problem, but as long as you meet your deadline. But it's a bit lonely, and I'm a little bit more of an extrovert, and I love to engage with my customers. And I found out that there are very few marketers with a technical background, and I will complement my teammates and my colleagues from that perspective. And I loved explaining technology to people. I love helping them, solve their problem with it. I love, showing them the latest cool things, but make it easy so they're not intimidating, and they solve, problem, and that make their life easier, and I can see the impact. And so that's why I shift. And I will tell you, I think marketing in
Okay.
SaaS, also there is more data driven, there is more market data. So in addition of first the product and the technology, now I can also add my analytic mind. Because I've been in SaaS, I can see the market trends with all the tools, and the marketer has become a lot more business critical than in the past. Like you see product-led growth at Brevo, 80% of our revenue are driven entirely by marketing with no intervention from sales, because it's a lot of small accounts that we engage with online, and they put their credit card, and so that's a significant influence, and a much funnier role than what it used to be 15 years ago.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So I just want to get back a little bit more to, your personal journey again. Can you share any personal experiences that shaped your personality? And this includes, work, that made you or turned you into the leader that you are today.
Oh wow, so many, so many things I've changed. I mean, I will say, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I consider myself very lucky to been born in France. I come from an underprivileged social class, and so my parents, especially in the US, where studying is so expensive, would have never been able to afford that. But in France, education is free. It is based on competitive exams, so you're ranked. I had to take an exam which I was nationally ranked about all the students of my year, of my age in the country. But if you work hard and if you have a good grading, even if you're not that rich, you can still end up, and that was my luck. I end up in a really good engineering school, have access to really good quality of teaching, and open your horizon. My parents didn't even know what an engineer was. I didn't know until I got into an engineering school. So, it really, in a way, the American dream that I love so much since I moved, that was for me. I mean, the fact of being born in France and when it comes to education was really eye-opening. And that's how I got my Master of Science in Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. Then, being an immigrant in the US also really shaped my personality. I've been here for 22 years. I am very proud to have become a US citizen in 2012, so 11 years ago. And I really consider myself both French and American. I love, the optimism, the positivity, the attitude of you control your destiny that Americans have. And I really want to be like that. I really aspire to be like that. Becoming a US citizen for me was a big achievement, and very emotional. But of course I cannot get the French out of me on other instances, and I'm married to a French gentleman, so I cannot get rid of my accent either as a result. But so yes, immigrating to the US was another huge milestone. And I will say the last one probably has been to get an American education. As I was living here, and we decided to stay, and we finally got our green card because we arrived in March, and in September 11 happened, and all the green cards were on hold. So a few years later, we finally got our green card, and I really wanted to stay here. And having an American education in my mind was so critical to understand this market, this country, and be able to really establish a career and a life. And so we applied for MBAs, and I got very lucky to get into Harvard Business School, and that was for me a very new process. Everything was different compared to France, where it was a competitive ranking and exam, but also it was very eye-opening in terms of being able to, Harvard used a case study method, so you debate ideas with different folks, so understanding how they think, understanding how they approach my classmates, how they approach a business problem, I think made me a better business person as well. And that was definitely the three big things that have shaped my career and me as a person.
Amazing. I mean, I was going to bring up you going to Harvard Business School and getting your MBA there as well, and I think that's super impressive. Having coming from France, going over to the US, getting your green card, and then also getting into Harvard Business School and achieving your MBA is a massive feat. I mean, I would still be patting myself on the back if I were you. Really, it's incredible, and you should be so proud of yourself. Um, but what I wanted to ask you as well about Harvard, I mean, that must have been an interesting process, applying, getting in there, and maybe for all of us that's maybe not from the US, what was that process like?
Oh, wow. That was very different, as I said, than Europe. You have to, it's not
Yeah.
so much based on your grade or competitive exam. I mean, it is competitive, but you have to write an essay more about your aspiration. It's a lot more personal, I find, which for me was very uncomfortable, to be honest, to talk about me or my aspirations. Some are grades, but it's also about who you are. And so for that, you have to share a lot about traits of characters, extracurricular activities. They ask for reference letters, which also is a big challenge because at the time, I only had lived in the US for 3 years. Most of my references were French. And when I was looking at American references, American love, as I say, the optimism, they think big, everything's big. And they were like, oh, somebody can say this person can walk on water. Whereas in France, to say someone is good, like, yeah, she's good. And actually, that means she can walk on water. Actually, your professor will never say you're good. They're like, you're not too bad. That's kind of the spirit. And I was like, oh my God, what are they gonna say on my reference later? Like, nothing is gonna be that exciting. But well, I guess Harvard knows about this, and they may have, understood that French people express their enthusiasm in a different way. Also, there are a lot of dependencies on the green card. I was very lucky when I got accepted to Harvard. I didn't have a green card, and I could not afford to pay for the studies and then not having a visa and having to go back to Paris. I mean, to France. That was not my idea and why I was doing this. And I told them, look, I would love to come. Can you give me 1 more year? So hopefully by next year I'll have my green card. And again, I was very lucky. They said yes. I'll tell you, Bianca, thank you for all the credit you give me, but I have been so blessed by so many people who helped me throughout my career. From a manager I got only for 3 months who signed the process and get me started with my green card, to Harvard who gave me a 1 year deferral, to all the people who helped me. Honestly, I wish I could take all the credit, but a lot of it goes to them.
100%. But that's also a really important factor in any success in life, I think, is that you have people that support you and believe in you and see the potential in you, right?
Absolutely.
So,
So
but it
that's
also
really
takes you and your hard work that you did. It's a collaborative thing, I think. Um, I mean, that's an incredible experience, I think. What was there something from Harvard, like a lesson maybe, that you still carry with you today?
well, so as I mentioned, Harvard has a very special way of teaching. I was admitted in multiple schools, and they let you go during the admitted weekend, student weekend, to to look at the classes. And some of them were lecture based, which is a lot more closer to what I was used to in Europe. And Harvard was so different. It was a case study method, so you read about a problem before you come to class, and during class you debate about how to solve it. And of course, you can solve a problem many ways. Like, there is not one single right answer. And so everybody has a different opinion, a different approach. And it's really more like a debate. And, having becoming more articulate into my discussion and understanding how my classmate was thinking and what were their logic. And you really bring me a more balanced viewpoint and more balanced perspective, like, because I was exposed to their experience and to their background without having to live it. And it was such a rich experience. And also, all the case studies we do is really, they're real. Like, it's a real company. It's, all the company we've heard around that had to have a pivotal moment and they were about to file for bankruptcy, but they resurrected. or they had this business model and they shift. Except when we do it, we don't know the answer because the company is living it at this moment. So it was both. It was a great way to learn about plenty of people and background, and really my classmates, we were my mentors. We were all mentoring each other and learning from each other. But also it was for me a great way. It's like a lesson of capitalism, because it was all those companies I didn't know, all the famous, corporate strategies that have happened in the past, like great company like GE that have introduced new concepts in the business world that I was studying. And that's probably the two biggest lessons. The one from my classmates and the one from just, the history of, the industry.
That sounds like it was such an enriching experience, seriously, and one that I think a lot of people would have loved to also have done and experienced that. I know for sure I would have loved that. So I'm so happy that you got to do that as well, Okay, so on a similar note, were there any other experiences or influences that particularly steered you to the world of marketing that eventually led to Brevo?
Yeah. Many experience and influence. As I mentioned, I think being an engineer is one thing that I realized, I was able to complement and think about that. I'm an immigrant. I'm trying to find my place, trying to find my competitive differentiator in a crowded market with people who are better than me at writing in English, marketing in English, and they're, being technical, and me being able to help them and complement them was great. I think the second biggest thing that influenced my career trajectory was being data proficient and the world becoming SaaS. So I was able to read the market. In the past, to know what your customers thought, you had to talk to your sales guys. Say, hey, how are your customers? Are they asking more questions? Are they in cost reduction mode? Are they having a bigger budget? But now I could read the data and I could actually tell my sales team, well, it looks like people are buying a lot more this quarter. And so that was really great. And that's why I shaped my go-to-market mindset. What are the levers marketing can use to sell more, to help them, to engage with customer also differently? So that's been one. And I will say, what led me to Brevo also, it's a series of experience being in the CRM industry with Salesforce, so Brevo is a French company. And this is my first time in my life working for a French company. Even when I work in Paris, it was for a Canadian one. And it's a very, it's a very particular company. Like even in France and in the Paris office, everybody speaks English, because there is always a third of the people in the meeting room that don't speak French. So it's been an English first company all along. And that's great because I can leverage my French culture to bridge different markets like North America and the European one, but also I feel I'm more whole. Like it's not just the marketing skill and the American I've become, but I can go back to my source and also leverage all my French background more. So many different influences and experiences that, sometimes lead you to unexpected paths.
Okay, so talking about Brevo now as well, moving from your individual journey and experiences, I'd like to delve a little bit more into Brevo and what it does, its unique value position, what standout services Brevo offers, and of course, the impact that it has on brands globally. Now, for our listeners that's unfamiliar with Brevo, how would you describe these standout features and services that cater to current demands in the marketing landscape?
Sure. So in a nutshell, Brevo is a customer relationship management suite. And so any business can use our platform to really do marketing. And by marketing, we understand like marketing automation, doing campaigns to engage with your customer, and doing campaign and reaching out to your customer over email, SMS, WhatsApp, any channel of communication. We also cover sales. So when you have a sales team and they manage their pipeline and they move deals from prospecting to close deals, that's what we do. We do different way to engage with customers and to drive business and grow your business. And we started really with small businesses, mainly online. And now we have a very sophisticated platform. But as I love to say, we are the most approachable CRM, because when you start using it, it's very easy. Even if we have artificial intelligence and very granular feature, it looks simpler from a UX UI, and so you're not intimidated. We are very approachable. We also can give access to any type of budget to our capabilities, because you pay for the level of engagement, not how many customers or contacts you have, but really how much value the platform brings to you. And we have customer support and real people you can talk to no matter what your size. And so as we evolve, of course, it was mainly self-service, and now we have more and more enterprise customer acquiring us, but we want to serve both, and we are very loyal to our approachability.
Amazing. Now, of course, we also know that Brevo has been recognized because of its unique approach and suite of offerings, as some of the things that you just mentioned as well. So, what can you highlight that sets Brevo apart from other platforms delivering exceptional results to its clientele, specifically in CRM, of course?
Yes. So CRM is not a new industry. I think Salesforce was one of the first to deliver that on SaaS 20 years ago. And but it's a very mature industry. You have a lot of CRM solution out there, and so the value of being the most approachable one, as I mentioned, is really that all those solutions have been built 2 decades ago. They keep adding more feature, they become more sophisticated, but then they become very intimidating, because the user interface is complex and you can do so many things, but you don't know where to start. I think the value of Brevo and the chance we had is to start only 12 years ago, is to start with small business who didn't have dedicated marketers. And so really the ease of use has been core to all of that. And now that we have the same capability as the most advanced and mature and established CRM, but with a simpler ease of use, we see a lot of people adopting us because they can't keep up with the other solutions. So that's been one differentiator. The other, I touched a little bit upon it, was the value. A lot of CRM price per contact. But if you have like a hotel business where you have a lot of contacts who come to your place, but you only send an email once a year, because I go to the same hotel just once a year when I'm at Christmas in France, for instance, you don't want to pay for me every other month. You're not sending me an email. It's just how the industry right now is pricing. And so what we do is really we price per engagement. So it's only when you send an email to your contact that you pay, not how many contacts you have. And if you're a startup with a freemium model, if you're a utility company where you have all the citizens in a certain county that you need to communicate with, but you don't really control why you have so many customers, or you're in a freemium, half of your customers don't pay and you don't want to talk to them, you only want to pay to your paying customers, that's a lot more flexible. And the fact also, the value you get from not having to set up multiple solutions, integrate them just by one, and do marketing and sales and service and all of this in one, has been the great value that our customers find, in addition of our, as I mentioned, customer service, no matter what the size you are.
Amazing. Okay, but also, Isabelle, we know that digital marketing landscape is always evolving. So, in terms of that, how does Brevo plan to further refine its features and services, say, over the next 5 years? Are there any pioneering projects or expansions on the horizon that our listeners should anticipate from Brevo?
Yes, actually, I mean, I wish I could keep up with all the things we're doing. To be honest, being in marketing, I have to market them all, and it's really a full-time job. So Brevo did a lot of acquisitions. I think 8 or 9 so far, and we keep looking into this because technology changes, and we want our customer to always have the latest and greatest. So some of those acquisition is to have new engagement channels. We acquire a mobile wallet company, so we can push message and engage on your mobile with a card. Some are emails company, some are WhatsApp. I mean, web push. So we have a lot of different channels, and every time there is a new channel, either we develop it internally or we make some acquisition to complement it. We cover the entire customer journey thanks to those acquisitions too. And some of them we develop ourselves, like the sales platform. We started with marketing. Now we want to help the sales team, and we will cover all the teams that touch the customers. And I will say we do a lot of artificial intelligence, again, in a very approachable way. So if you need something super sophisticated, if you have tons of data, you may want to have a separate platform, which actually we offer. It's a customer data platform to manage all your customer data. But if you don't, there are features that can come embedded. So you don't need to be an AI expert. You don't need to have a PhD. You just can decide, hey, I want to use AI to write a title that's a little bit differentiated than the other email you received. Maybe you can say, I want the tone to give them, maybe the fear of missing out if they don't open the email, or I want something funny and witty. And you just tell AI what you want. And we come up with a few proposals and you select. We do the same for the email body. We actually even, and that's really a cool feature, we can send the message, let's say an email, at the best time of the day for each individual person based on when they open the past emails. So you can do your Black Friday campaign. You say everyone's going to receive it on Black Friday, but they don't receive it at the same time because it depends on when they open their email. But again, it's just called best time. You click on it and that's it. That's how difficult AI is to use in Brevo.
Oh my goodness, that is incredible. I've never heard of that. I have never heard of that in marketing before. That's fantastic. That's a great feature. Wow. Okay, so now that we are actually talking about AI, and I also brought up Black Friday, it's gonna bring me right to my next topic that I want to discuss with you, because I know that Brevo released an ebook recently on Black Friday sales and how to integrate AI powered marketing strategies into that. So let's get a little bit more into that. Now, as I mentioned, Brevo's ebook emphasizes the importance of AI in shaping Black Friday marketing strategies. So, in your view, Isabelle, what stands out as the pivotal concept or tool that businesses absolutely need to incorporate this sales season?
Well, I don't know if it's for sales even, but I think as a marketer, there are three big categories now that are being possible thanks to AI. And obviously, I will recommend everybody to use it for Black Friday. But it is, what I call micro segmentation. So we all been using segmentation, right? We all have a customer like small, medium, and big segmentation, or retail, healthcare, finance per vertical, per region, France, Germany, North America, things like that. What you could do actually with AI is more powerful. You can really micro segment it. You can say people in North America who are in retail, who open their emails on Monday and have bought X amount of this in the past, and that becomes really, really complex, really fast. And unfortunately, as marketers, we don't have enough bandwidth to write content for each one of those segments. That's why we're doing just 10 or 5 segments at a time, and that's why they're pretty big, like small business, big business, Europe, North America, retail, and healthcare. But now, with generative AI, where you can generate content a lot faster, you can have it more personalized, you can do micro segmentation and get really refined, but plenty of criteria of people you think are important for your next communication. And you can do hyper personalization of content at scale. You don't need to hire an army of 100 people to write an email for each segment. You can tell what you want to tell them, and it will give you a proposal for each specificity of your segment. And then, how you engage with them is different. Some people like to read email in the morning, do WhatsApp in the afternoon. Other wants to read white papers on a computer, but listen to a podcast in their car with their phone. The customer journey is different, and now with AI, you can find those patterns and you can push the communication at the best time, about the best thing, through the best channel, And that's really exciting. And so that's what I think, marketing is going to look like really an art and a science, thanks to AI in the coming years.
I think that's just incredible. I really do. I think this is all new to me, to be honest with you. I had no idea that AI was able to even do this now, but that's fantastic. Okay, so I also read a recent HubSpot article that points to the growing reliance the growing reliance on AI to create more personalized customer experiences. Now, Isabelle, given this trend, how should businesses pivot their Black Friday campaigns to fully exploit AI-driven marketing solutions, would you say?
Well, I think, back to the personalized content, this is really the new thing now that was not possible before. And I think talking, we all receive Black Friday emails. Hey, you get 50% discount. Okay. But, if I say, hey, you bought, I'm going to make things up, but you bought jeans from us and denim last year, and maybe today the trend has changed. It used to be skinny jeans, but today it's wide leg jeans, and we recommend based on your size and your taste in the past days, and you get 50% on that. It's a lot more personalized. The chance for me to click and use your coupon is much higher than just sending me a coupon and me navigating on your website forever to find something I like. So really, again, using AI to be able to do this at the individual level over the right channel and based on past history is for me what will make a successful Black Friday. Really.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Just also talking about bigger brands that have incorporated AI into their strategies. It was just last month that a bunch of big brands released their Q3 earnings for this year. And the report showed like pretty impressive AI gains for tech giants. So for instance, Google's AI ads increased click rates by like 20%. Meta's AI creation or curation, boosted engagement by 15%. And then also Snapchat's AI filters raised daily users by 25%. I mean, that's staggering and amazing, of course. So what would you say if you might know or maybe guess, what kind of marketing strategies do you think they might have used to achieve those results? And how do you think smaller businesses can apply those tactics for Black Friday?
Well, it's a great question, Bianca, and I like the fact that you mentioned them, like all those giants, but also talk about small businesses, because obviously what works for them is not going to work for the rest of us. We are not all Snapchat, Meta, or Google, right? So I mean,
Exactly. Of course not.
I'm gonna get a little bit technical, of course. Former engineer, I cannot help. So I think when you think about AI, you have to think about the data you have. And I'm just going to take Amazon as a great example of using AI for many years, by the way. It's not just, the hype of the moment, but why has Amazon been so successful? Not just because they have a long tail of offerings that everybody can find what they want, but it's also because they remember what you bought. Mm-hmm. They know what you've been looking into. They know people who start having similar tastes than you, and they will recommend things that they are buying. They do tests on pricing, so they have such an amazing data set, and they have trained their model, and they're really optimizing and leveraging the data, and the more data they got, the better they get at. Now, the way they use AI is fantastic, and of course they're going to do this for Black Friday, finding the right price and for the right group of people for the right product, right? Now, we're not all Amazon. We don't all have this data. And so for the one who are almost like small boutique SMBs, let's say, my baker, my yoga teacher, all of that, or even let's take a little bit bigger. Let's say, Orange Theory, so like a gym, chain, where they have multiple gyms all around the country, multiple classes and multiple trainers, for instance. They have some data, and I think about what's special about your data. For them, what's special about them and their differentiator is the trainer they have, the type of class they have, and the location. Because when you think about it, I go to classes where I like the teacher, when I like, what the class is about, but also I don't want to drive 2 hours. So location is important. Now, do I care how differentiated, let's say, their email sounds when they write to me? No. But what I care about is the number of classes they're going to have, and they see me like Friday afternoon. I'm trying to go to some classes, but they don't have as many Friday afternoon class, and so maybe they should add some. So here, if I were them, I would say the data that's important is the attendance to my class, is which other trainer are similar or not, where I go, what time of the day I go. And for this I will use AI to build your schedule, to say, hey Isabelle, I noticed you really like to take those classes with Ryan, and Ryan is going to have a new class on Friday afternoon, and you like, I don't know, Zumba, but we have modern dance, and it's different, and you want to give it a try, and here is a coupon for that. So that, for me, you want to use AI, you want to keep your data, but AI to send an email with the best title, you want to use Brevo, because it is, what's in the email and you offer is what's going to make you different. And yes, we will help you optimize the title, the content, and everything, but this is not a special data. It's a data that's based on all the small businesses using Brevo, and that's okay, because you sending maybe the same title than a gym 5 hours away, you're not in competition anyway. That's not where you compete. You compete on the trainer and
exactly. 100%. That's a very good strategy, of course. So, having had so much experience with AI, what, or have you rather come across any misconceptions or myths regarding AI marketing, particularly, of course, as we gear up for Black Friday? And how does your and Brevo's expertise debunk these myths?
So it's a little bit back to what I was just telling you, like what's your data? What's special about you? Just like social media, if you remember a few years back, everybody was on social media experimenting, and then you saw people posting not necessarily politically correct things or not necessarily clever things, and then impacting them on their job or impacting them on their professional, personal life. Sometimes, spouses and things like that. But, we were all trying, and we don't know what we don't know. I think for AI, very few people understand the impact it can have. And so I will highly recommend everyone to try it. Absolutely. Just like social media, you don't want to be left out. You want to know what's going on. But like social media, pay attention to a few things. Be careful about data ownership. You probably have heard someone at Samsung that was posting some code to get, ChatGPT to rewrite it for him or her. And now everything you've put into ChatGPT is becoming public domain. And so Samsung is in a battle for intellectual property. So be careful about, what you use and who's going to own the data. And sometimes, as I say, the data, like sending your email, is not that proprietary, and it's okay to share it. But the data about your schedule, your trainers, maybe you want to have this and pay attention there. The second thing is, it's very easy to adopt AI for so many things. It will make your life easier. But are they critical things? Because the cost is going to add up. It's like a few years back, everybody thought cloud computing was less expensive. And it is. Instead of paying 10 million for a data center at once, you just pay 1.5 million per year. But after 10 years, you've paid 50% more, right? So how much of that do you want to do? Because every time you use AI, the more data you had, the more you're going to pay, the more prompts you're going to make, the more you're going to pay. So use it for what's really relevant to your business, but plan for the future where it's going to be probably very expensive at one point, and try to calibrate and don't be too dependent on it too fast.
Okay, very good. Those are very good tips there as well. I mean, that I was going to ask you about the data privacy thing that was coming up now as well. In that case, talking about your data privacy and stuff, is there an AI on the market now that people can use to generate content, for instance, where they don't have to worry about their their inputs or anything like that becoming public domain, at least not now?
No, absolutely, there is. There is. You just need to look at the application and read the terms and conditions. And sometimes it's a little bit more expensive because they will separate your data, or you can build it yourself. But again, it's only for larger companies. If you're a small company, I would just ask your provider and ask to have a separate instance where your data is your property, the input and output is, and just check the terms and conditions. ChatGPT is it's an open source, so obviously, I mean, it's based on the logic of an open source. So obviously, that's a different thing. But if you pay for a service, you can just ask for the SLA you are comfortable with.
When you say when we pay for a service, so do you mean something like, for instance, Jasper? Because I know Jasper AI is on the market. Is there anything else that you would say?
Yeah, all those solutions, Rider. You just need to check and are they using your data or somebody else's data, and can you keep ownership of the output and ownership of your data? Just like anything, like even on social media where you can retract your account and ask to be deleted, like GDPR, they have to follow some regulations anyway. Everybody has to.
Exactly. Okay, so as we start to wrap up now, I just want to ask another question as well. So, we know, again, as we've mentioned before, that the digital marketing landscape is constantly evolving. And, partnering up with the right people is crucial. So, I'm not sure if you know this, but DesignRush has positioned itself as a leading global B2B marketplace and directory for various agencies, including things like digital marketing and web design and branding. Now, Isabelle, how essential do you think platforms like DesignRush are in aiding businesses to navigating and selecting the right partners in the digital realm? I mean, especially when venturing into new territories like AI marketing.
Well, I think it's critical. I think every company who can help you have a clearer view of the landscape, especially the marketing landscape, is a huge help. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but compared to 10 years ago, last 2023, you have 11,000, more than 11,000 applications at the disposal of marketer. How can we even try all of them, know which one we need? And I think, having categories, having partners who help us on which categories, and providers who also can vet some of those applications, as we discussed, which one will keep your information proprietary, which one will actually help you with content, with lead, and all these type of categories is critical because it's a very confusing place. Some solution overlap, some are for different size of company or different use cases, and having a directory to help you put everything in one place, understand the value, and make the best selection for you is critical. It's overwhelming in a way.
Exactly. Yeah, it does. It really does help you scale that down and really pinpoints exactly what it is that you're looking for, right? Okay, so Isabelle, sorry about that. As we start to wrap up now, I just want to take our discussion back a little bit again to your personal insights, just so our listeners, can get insight to you a little bit more. So, reflecting on your journey that you've had thus far, if you had the chance to share some wisdom with the younger Isabelle just starting out her career, what guidance would you have offered her?
Well, it's always, that's the expression in the US with the quarterback morning debrief. Like, if you had known the output of the game, why would you have played differently? Um, so I think one of the things I will tell myself is to keep trying and take risk. I'm lucky. I've done a lot of trying. I've changed discipline. I've changed countries, but I think I would have tried more things, to be honest, and I would have taken even more risk if I had known that in the end everything's just work out fine if you put your energy into it, and that there are people along the way helping, people that you will not think of but actually show up for you. I will say, and one thing that I have done, and but to make sure I will keep doing it if I meet myself 20 years earlier, is to learn every day. I think, trying something new every day, being a little bit uncomfortable, it builds so much resilience. So much resilience and so much self-improvement that really sky is the limit. Trying to think differently in a new culture, trying to speak a language and market in a language you never spoke before, like on a daily basis, it's super uncomfortable. And sometimes you're a little bit desperate about how bad you are and how good you want to be. But you're learning every day. You keep at it. And then also you find things where you're better than others, and you play that a little bit more, and you surround yourself with people who complement you, but never limit yourself. Always try and always learn. Always try. And then stay grounded. Sometimes also when you're successful, you just you think, okay, I can do more of that. I can do, and you don't give back, but give back because you're there because people gave back to you. Like, you're not there alone. Nobody can get somewhere alone. And just as a thank you for all the people who help you. And that's why I love teaching at Santa Clara University. That's why I love taking vacation in underdeveloped country, just to recalibrate myself, to think how lucky I am, how grateful I am, and to be able to find it in myself. Like, we just so caught up with our daily life. We want a bigger car, we want a bigger house, we want a bigger job, and take a step back, look at what others have, and consider yourself grateful. And you have so much that it's okay to give back, because you're not going to be poorer, you're just going to be richer because of that. But just take the time, make the time, it's worth it.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Really, very, very good advice. I wish someone went back in time and told me all that. Just lastly, Isabelle, just on a lighter note to end this off, I like to do these little fun questions with everybody on the podcast, just for a bit of fun. So, Isabelle, if you were to imagine a superhero inspired by the world of marketing, what would their name be, and what special superpower would they have?
Oh God. Okay, so this is where my limitation as a marketer is gonna show up. By this I mean, I really know what the superhero should be doing, but I'm really bad at coming up with a good name usually. I don't know. I think well, I'll tell you the idea. May not be the best name, but I think it would be the value shifter. Mm-hmm. And I love Marvel, and I love superheroes. Obviously, this is one of my favorite things to watch. But I think when you're a marketer, your special powers are empathy, because without empathy, you cannot understand people's needs. It's also being curious and learn, as I would be the advice I will give to myself younger, because the more knowledge you have, the more there are solutions out there to answer your customer needs. And then what the marketer does, they match the best solution to create the best value with customers. But as we do this, there is always new solutions. There is always new needs from our customers. There is always new technologies, as we talk about generative AI. And so you always have to reinvent yourself, and always have to adapt to be able to do this match of value between customers and solutions. So maybe the value shifter is why could be a superhero. Always understanding the market, always understanding the new solution, always learning and always shifting to be able to match everybody to the best of their abilities.
Well, that sounds like a pretty cool superhero, to be honest with you. I think it's very, very cool. Isabelle, thank you so much again for joining us today. Really, I have enjoyed this conversation so much, and your insights were invaluable. Thank you so much, really.
No, thank you, Vianca, for having me today, and for spending time with me. I really appreciate it.
And that's a wrap on our insightful conversation with Isabelle Guis on the world of marketing and AI. If your project could benefit from a world-class marketing agency's expertise, look no further. Head to designrush.com/marketplace. Our carefully curated selection of agencies is equipped to help you navigate the evolving digital landscape and bring your vision to life. Again, I'm your host, Vianca Meyer. Stay curious and join us for the next episode.